down the steps. And then she can just either call Ring a Ride or taxis or whatever to take her places. And like I say, I'm sure if she got carers, they'd happily accompany her to go out if, she can't, manage on her own going out. It's her. She's the one who doesn't want to take advantage of any of this stuff. She doesn't want to take advantage of, the help that would be available to her if I did leave. So she's still basically putting all the onus on me that I have to stay, otherwise she's got nothing to live for. She's going to die. I mean, this is really hard on me, because every time she talks like this, as much as I try and be as hard as nails, the last time we had this kind of conversation, it was awful. My emotions were all over the place. But my emotions were already pretty shit, considering that nothing was going right for me at the time, and every time I tried to meet people, they cancelled and ghosted me, so I was already feeling a bit fragile because of that, because it just seemed to be impossible for me to meet anyone who liked me and would stick by me. So I was feeling a bit like shit at the time, mentally and emotionally. And then when we were talking, I was moving out, when we discussed the possibility of me moving out, everything that she said, all the guilt tripping, it actually did conjure up this really horrible feeling, like a horrible gut feeling. A feeling I've never actually felt before. It felt like I had a lump of clay or something in the pit of my stomach. I've never felt that before. It's a different feeling than the usual one, and it made me just want to avoid this conversation, so I just kind of gave in and said, right, I won't leave. I was only bluffing anyway, sort of. I wanted to see how she reacted if I did say okay when she did the whole, well, if you don't like it, then move out thing, because she says that often with a straight face, as if she's not bothered if I leave. But if I actually say okay, then she acted like she just did then. But I think this is worse, because now she's saying, I think I'm just gonna go to sleep. That is just a horrible thing to say. I bet she wouldn't. I think that she
said that the last time. She said the last time we had this conversation back in September or October, or whenever it was, I think it was October, and she said that her mother had the same problems as her, and when she had to take care of herself, she died within 2 years. So she was kind of hinting that she would die within 2 years if she had to look after herself. And she's basically saying it now, but in a direct thing. Not saying the having to look after herself would kill her, but just that she would just give up because she had nothing to live for, sort of thing. Now, so that's a slightly bit different. So she doesn't even remember what she says the first time, so that solidifies the fact that it's just a guilt tripping mechanism, because she knows how much I used to talk a lot about how I didn't want her to die, and that I was worried that if she died I wouldn't know what to do, and how hard things would be, and how bad I'd feel, and it's my mom and everything. So I think she's kind of working on that, because she knew how sort of sensitive I used to be. Again, I'm being more hard as nails now, but because, I don't really think she's going to die, but she sounds like she's going to give up, so I don't know, she might do it deliberately. But then again, I think it just might be a guilt trip, I'm saying here, I was about to say here.
She's just saying this. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's a possibility that she might just be saying this in order to guilt trip me into staying. I can't possibly want my mum to just go to sleep and die. So, I'm sure she'll stay if I said that. I think that's what she's thinking. I know she's probably thinking it's probably going to be hard, and she won't like the change. And she just had a bloody meltdown then, because she couldn't find the salt, which, by the way, was right in front of her. It was on her side table thing in front of a settee where her cup of tea was. So I bet you any money she knew it was there, and she's had that meltdown to, I say, she's probably just acting. I'm not 100% sure, but from what I've told people my situation and how my mum has been ever since she became disabled, and so far people have come to the conclusion that she's just, everything that she said is to guilt trip me and fearmonger me into staying, and that she doesn't really feel the way she does. She just says stuff to manipulate me emotionally, all that stuff about, she's done all this stuff for me, she's my mom, all this stuff, I should stay and care for her, blah, 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 and if I leave, I'm just going to be a horrible person. So yeah, I was...
One person on the Carers UK forums, on the post I made, said that they think that my mum is just basically using me to survive, and that if I just left and didn't give in to my mum's guilt tripping and just decided, I'm going anyway. If I just decided, then my mum would probably just get carers And that's what I'm counting on, to be honest. But like I say, I don't know for sure whether she's bluffing or whether she really feels this way and she really won't get carers or any kind of help if I leave, and that she really is going to go to sleep. But people that I've talked to about this reckons that she is just bluffing and she is working on my emotions. It's emotional manipulation, emotional abuse, so on and so forth. And that my mum is just using me to survive, and if I left she would do whatever it took to survive. So, reminds me a lot of the mother from Frasier, you know, Daphne's mother. She did a lot of that. Like, oh, woe is me, my life's so hard. You know, especially when Daphne would not react to it and just say, okay, you know. And she would just get more and more intense with her guilt tripping. So it's played for laughs, but it's like a serious situation that's like, you know, emotional manipulation and guilt tripping. But it's played for laughs in a comedy, but it's really a serious thing. And it's happening to me. My mum said she likes that character, and I bet that's why, because she's just the same.
I was determined, but now I'm starting to feel again like maybe I shouldn't go, you know, just in case. I mean, again, she might be bluffing. She might just be saying all this stuff to emotionally manipulate me and guilt trip me. But she, you know, she might be bluffing, but it might be real. So it's like I should stay just in case she's serious. I don't know.
This is why it's a hard decision for me, by the way. A lot of people probably think, you know, it's a no-brainer and I should have just left ages ago. Like, I should have recognised the fact that she treats me like shit ages ago and should have left. But the problem is I didn't know if she was serious or not. So it's kind of hard when you're not really sure, because I've known her for years, obviously, and I've never thought of her as being an abusive or coercive, controlling person. So it's really been hard for me to come to terms that this is what she's actually doing to me. Like, I didn't recognise it as that, even though I've been kind of reading about abuse. But the abuse I've read about has always been like physical abuse. It's not been like this kind. Like, this is new to me. And I've heard it's called coercive control. So yeah, I'm not... I wasn't sure until now. Now I kind of recognise it and realise, yeah, the way I'm living is not right and I should really leave. And, you know, I'd gladly leave, because it's not just, like, for my mum's sake, but, like, there's a million reasons why I'd leave. You know, one is the mould and damp, and two is, like, the horrible people around here. Like, the shitty kids who are just determined to judge me and make up rumours about me. So, you know, I'd love to get away from all that. I'm sure they'd be equally happy for me to go, because they obviously, you know, they've definitely not been short in expressing their dislike towards me, and the fact that they probably would be happy if I left. And to be honest with you, I mean, a lot of people like my mum would think, oh, you know, they'd win if we left. And I'm like, do you know what? I don't really give a shit. I'd rather leave, let them win, because the real win is going to be me, because I'd get away from the fuckers. So I'd get away from these fuckers and have a chance to, you know, meet some actual nice, pleasant, civilized, normal human beings for a change. So I'm the real winners. Like, their lives don't really change whether I stay or go, to be honest, but my life will improve. My life will change for the better if I left this shitty area with the shitty people. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not generalising, really. I'm not saying they're all shitty, but when I say the shitty people, I mean the ones who are shitty. I'm not lumping everyone as shitty people, because they're not all shitty around here, but the majority seem to be. Even the ones who used to be nice to me are now horrible and shitty to me. So it's like, you know, the majority kind of are. But yeah, especially the kids, especially the teenagers and the parents of those teenagers that are like a bit more, I don't know, the low-life types, the chavvy scumbag types that are just absolutely determined, without even knowing anything about me or my mum, to hate us. Now, I can kind of understand them not liking my mum, because she, you know, she's been doing this to me, but why dislike me? Like, I'm the victim here.
She doesn't like me talking to other people, especially not about our situation, because I bet she knows that if I tell people, other people would know it's not right. Like, she knows it's not right, and she knows that other people would deem it not right, so she doesn't like me talk. But I need a lot of outside advice and influence, so I need to be sure that people, you know, people could definitely say for sure she was having these meltdowns and guilt tripping me and threatening that she's going to just go to sleep if I left, because she's got nothing to live for and life's going to be harder. But it's only going to be harder because she absolutely refuses to have carers and other outside help. That's it. That's the only reason why it would be hard.
That wasn't the point. The point I was trying to make there is that I needed to be sure that all of this was guilt tripping and was abuse, and emotional manipulation and coercive control and stuff. That's the point that I was trying to make, but I went off tangent there. Sorry about that.
Because it would be. It's just she would make it that way by not allowing people in the house. Ah, see, she's got my stuff out as well. She's read my post as well, my letter. I mean, these letters say that I'm entitled to emotional support. Like, they'll ask me how I feel, like they want me to, and it even advises that I actually be like completely honest, and I don't just put on a brave face. I'm to actually say how I really feel about caring and how it's affecting me, because that way I could be entitled to a lot of help and support. I mean, I wish I'd known about all this help and support like years ago. Although the only help and support I really wanted was, you know, people to help sort out the house and, you know, do all the chores my mum wants me to do alone. But yeah, emotional.
When I say that, by the way, what I mean is people to help me put the house back in order so it's not a mess. Like, you know, my mum keeps going on about, and all the kids like to point out that the house is a mess. It's like, if I had help, that'd be fantastic. And then when somebody put it all back in order, I'd be quite happy to keep it up then. You know, and keep up the cleanliness and the neatness and tidiness and everything. But it's just getting it back in order in the first place that's like a big dread to me. And a lot of people have like agreed that it shouldn't all be up to me to sort out this house. And one person even said, don't, you know, so my mum expects me to sort out the house this year. And this one person that I told this to said, oh, don't bother doing that. Just, you know, move out, get your own life and enjoy your life for like once in my life. Because to be honest with you, I mean, I've been pretty miserable like since I had to be my mum's carer, but for some reason I especially became miserable after I turned 25, and ever since then I've been like more miserable. For some reason I wasn't as miserable, or like I didn't get depressed at all, but I started getting depressed after like from 24 and a half onwards. With the exception of 2018 when I was particularly happy, then back to 2019, April onwards, where I became depressed again because nothing fun or exciting happened. Like, I had nothing to look forward to at all. And then when I did have something to look forward to, which was the Willowwood 20th anniversary ball, and it was amazing, by the way. They put out all the stops. It was like a proper posh do with like a 3-course meal, proper gourmet sort of meal, unlike all the other party type, you know, like organised event things that I've gone to, whereby it's just been like pie and chips or pie and peas, you know, that sort of thing. And you have to serve yourself or go up, you know, get in line and get, you know, someone sort of slops a pie and some kind of side thing on your paper plate. You know, this was proper. Anyway, so my mum had to even ruin that. I mean, you know, it was a really good do, but she like I say, I was enjoying the food. I was still in the middle of having my first course, the soup, which was the best soup I'd ever tasted, and she dragged me out because she wanted me to take her either to have a cigarette or go to the toilet. I can't remember which it was, but she had me do that several times. Like, she's just had a cig, 5 minutes later she wants me to take her outside again. And of course she wants me to stay with her. So I end up missing the songs, I end up missing the entertainment. Every single course, my mum got me to take her outside. So she dragged me away from my food just before I had like 2 more mouthfuls, before I was finished. And yeah, the waitresses ended up taking the food away, even though I told the guy at the table next to me, no, the guy at the seat next to me at our table, to make sure they don't take my food away because I'm not finished. I'm just taking my mum outside, and each time they took my food away. So I didn't even get to finish. All 3 courses I didn't get to finish, that I was really enjoying. I'm sure she did that deliberately as well, because I don't see why she was so desperate to go out when she'd already been out 5 minutes before. But I think she was doing it deliberately, so I wish I'd put my foot down and said, let me just damn well finish my food, for God's sake. But, you know, she was like insistent, and it's like she's desperate to go. Yeah, I think the first time it was to take her out for a cigarette. Then the second course, the main course, it was she needed a wee. And then the third course, it was cigarette again. And then after that, it was before the last course, and she had me take her outside because a song that was playing, Que Sera Sera, had upset her. it had triggered some emotional response from her, and she ended up crying, and she wanted me to take her outside so she could have some air. So when I did that, because I was so annoyed at her keep dragging me outside and making me miss the entertainment and songs, I just went back in and listened to a song that was playing that was one of my favourites that I actually recognised. So yeah, of course she got really annoyed at that, because she was like, can't you see I'm upset, I'm having an emotional moment and you don't care, and you're not being all what's the word, comforting. You know, she was upset because I wasn't all comforting, but that's because I was trying to enjoy this bloody thing, and she just kept ruining it by having me take her outside 50,000 times, 2 of which were not necessary, because she'd already been outside before, not that long ago, and because of this emotional meltdown thing that she was having. And it's really hard to sort of feel that way, to feel all, comforting and loving and what have you, when, you know, she sort of yells and screams at me and gets all upset, and I can't even tell when she's really upset or not. So yeah, so that's I'm going to stop it now and start the next part.